Today we're making 4 vegan recipes that I bet you didn't know that you could make in your air fryer. And no, these aren't just the basic things like roasted potatoes or roasted vegetables or crispy tofu. While I do love all of these things in the air fryer, as you might have seen in some of my previous videos, these recipes are things that you probably would have never even guessed to try in your air fryer. And honestly, I was kind of skeptical at first too. First up, we've got pancakes. Yes, pancakes. Who would have thought that you could make pancakes in the air fryer? It is actually very possible and super delicious because they become super fluffy and light. So for the pancakes, we're gonna be making my super easy and healthy Blender pancake batter. And I like to keep a lot of my recipes as close to whole foods as possible, which this one is one of my all-time favorites because it's extremely easy, there's no added oils, and it's only sweetened with a banana. I'm using my Vitamix, and first we're gonna start by using 2 cups of oats. Once you have your 2 cups of oats in the blender, you're going to first blend that until it's nice and fine and almost like a flour. Now you're just going to add in 1 spotty banana, and if you want your pancakes to be a little bit sweeter, you could add another banana, you could add in some maple syrup. By the way, the spottier your banana, the sweeter it will be. Next we have 2 tablespoons of unsweetened applesauce. So then you're gonna add a 1/4 cup of buckwheat flour, and here I actually like to use 6 tablespoons of my favorite protein powder, which is Compliment, but unfortunately I'm all out. If you don't have either, you could also sub in for oats. Then we're gonna add 1 1/4 cup of unsweetened almond milk or soy milk, 1 teaspoon of apple cider vinegar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. So now that we've got everything in our blender, we can just blend it all together until a nice smooth batter forms. So this is the consistency of my batter, and it may thicken up over time too. So if you let it sit out, or if you don't use it all and you put it in the fridge, it will thicken up and you may have to add some more water or almond milk to it. So then you're just going to pour your batter into some silicone molds. I found these on Amazon for super cheap, and these are like the perfect size. They're like 4 inches. But if you don't have these or you don't want to buy them, you could also put them on like a small baking tray. I would probably put parchment paper down or even like spray it so that it doesn't stick. So then you're just gonna put your pancakes in the air fryer at 320 degrees for 7 minutes. And I have 2 air fryers so that I can do them all at once because I borrowed my parents for the sake of time. All right, so I just took them out of the air fryer. You can see how they got a little bit nice and golden brown, and they puffed up a little bit, and they come out of these super easily. Or you can eat the remnants that get stuck. So I've got my pancakes stacked nice and high, and now I'll just put on some frozen blueberries and bananas, and then pour on some maple syrup, even though I really like to eat mine plain most of the time. All right, so cutting into a stack of pancakes is a lot harder than it looks, but let's hope it's worth it, so I'm gonna try it. Making them in the air fryer makes them more cakey. You don't have to worry about like flipping it on the griddle or anything. Next up, we've got one of my favorite recipes, veggie loaded twice baked potatoes, except for they're not gonna be baked, they're gonna be air fried. So first we have to wash our potatoes and then poke little holes in them, place them in the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 45 minutes. So while the potatoes are in the air fryer, we're going to prep our vegetables that will then go into the potatoes, starting by chopping up 1 onion, 4 mini peppers, and some spinach. Now we're gonna saute our vegetables. Just start by adding in your chopped onions and peppers. You can also sprinkle in some salt and pepper. So once your onions and peppers are nice and soft, you can go ahead and add in about 1 cup of black beans and 5 cloves of minced garlic. And then you can add in your spinach. And then saute this all together until the spinach is nice and wilted. All right, so the potatoes are done, and the outside is actually super crisp, which is amazing, and it's soft like to the touch on the inside. I can feel it. Now that the potatoes are done, you're just going to cut them in half and then scoop out the middles and place the middles into a bowl so we can get the potato mixture ready. So once you have the potatoes scooped out and into a bowl, you can begin adding your other ingredients. So you're gonna first add in 1/2 cup of nutritional yeast, 1/2 cup of coconut milk, and then about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then pepper to taste. And if you keep tasting it and you're like, this might need a little bit more salt, then go ahead and add some. So then we're just going to mash this all together, and you could use a fork or a potato masher, but I am using my handy dandy electric mixer because I like it that way and it makes it pretty fluffy. Okay, so this part is optional, but you can add in 1 tablespoon of unsweetened, just plain yogurt, or if you wanted to add in like vegan mayonnaise, that could work too. Okay, so now this is when you add in your sauteed vegetables and beans, and then you'll just mix that all together. Yep, they're good. So once everything is mixed together, you can just scoop it out and put them back into your potato skins, filling them up as much or as little as you want. Once you got them all stuffed, you can place them back into the air fryer at 400 degrees for about 5 to 10 minutes. The potatoes are done and the tops and the edges are nice and golden brown, and so now I'm just going to top it with this vegan mozzarella cheese that I had left over, and then I'm also going to add some chopped scallions on the top as well. So I guess most people eat these with a fork and knife, but I am not gonna do that today, and I'm just gonna try this little baby one. Oh my gosh, this is amazing. I need another bite of that. Next, we've got vegan air fryer nachos. These are perfect to serve family style, and I mean, who doesn't love nachos? All right, so to get started, we have to prepare all of our components that will then be put all together and then go in the air fryer. So to start, we're going to chop our vegetables. I'm just using half of a red onion, 3 mini peppers, and a tomato. I'm also going to chop up some cilantro. This won't go till the very end, but I'm just gonna go ahead and have it prepped now. So cilantro is one of those herbs that I just love to always have on hand to add to really any dish that I'm gonna make. It just adds a whole nother level of freshness that I love. I add it on almost everything I make, that or parsley. So now we have to make our meat mixture that is going to be made out of beans. And to make that, I use a taco seasoning that I make on my own, so I'm gonna show you how to do that. So first I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of smoked paprika, 2 teaspoons of cumin, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and then you can just mix it all together until it's uniform and combined. So for the bean mixture, you're going to add in 1 can of pinto beans and 1 can of black beans, drained and rinsed, and then you're going to add in your taco seasoning and water as needed. So you also want the water to like start evaporating so that the mixture gets more thick and the beans get more seasoned. You can also add in some salt and pepper if you want to. So now that the mixture is nice and thick, you can add in half a bag of the fire roasted corn. So before we put everything together and then in the air fryer, I'm gonna make a quick little batch of guacamole. I'm just gonna use half of a guacamole to keep this just like, did I just say half of a guacamole? I meant half of an avocado. And then I'm gonna add in some red onions, some chopped tomatoes, a little bit of chopped mini peppers, cilantro, salt, pepper, garlic, and I don't have any lime juice and I'm really upset about that, but I'm just gonna mix that all together. All right, so we have everything prepped, so let's just throw it all together. So we have our organic tortilla chips. Then you're going to add your bean mixture to the top of that. Then I'm going to add in some of the chopped red onions, some of the chopped little mini peppers, and some of the chopped tomatoes. Then I'm gonna put this tray in the air fryer basket at 350 degrees for about 4 to 5 minutes. So our nachos were in the air fryer for 5 minutes, and now I'm just going to carefully try to get them out. I'm going to top it with my homemade vegan nacho cheese sauce, which I have a recipe for that, and you can find the link in the description below. Then I'm gonna add on some salsa, and last but not least, the homemade guacamole. And then I'm actually going to sprinkle on a little bit of cilantro, get a good bite with everything on it. These nachos are really good. I love like in the air fryer, the chips get more crisp. It's a really good touch. Next up, we're making my favorite chocolate chip cookies. And I really was so skeptical about putting cookies in the air fryer until one day I finally tried it. I was very pleasantly surprised. Like the air fryer makes these chickpea cookies so good. To a food processor, you're going to add 1 can of drained and rinsed chickpeas, 1/4 cup of gluten-free oats, 1/4 cup of gluten-free flour, or you could just use half a cup of oats, whatever you want, 1/4 cup of nut butter or sunflower seed butter, 2 tablespoons of applesauce, 2 tablespoons of coconut sugar, 2 tablespoons of maple syrup, and then half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of baking soda, a sprinkle of some salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then about 1/8 to 1/4 of a teaspoon of almond extract, which is optional. So your batter will be nice and thick, and then you can add in your chocolate chips. You can add in like half a cup to 1 cup, as many or as little as you want. I could just eat the dough. Literally my favorite part of baking cookies is eating the dough. I like to let my dough chill in the freezer for about like 15 to 30 minutes or so. I just think it helps like form the cookies a little bit easier. All right, so you're just going to take your cookie dough out of the freezer and then scoop it into little balls, and you can roll it with your hands, and then you're gonna place them on the parchment paper in your air fryer basket. So to press them down, I just use a piece of parchment paper and and then like a wine glass, a stemless wine glass. And then I like to top mine with a couple more chocolate chips on top. So then you're just going to bake it in the air fryer at 350 degrees for about 7 minutes. So I just pulled the cookies out of the air fryer and they look nice and golden brown. The top of the chocolate chips are nice and melted. My favorite part, here we go. I love how the outside of them are like nice and crisp, but the inside is like soft and gooey because like I love underbaked cookies. So it's like the perfect combination. If you want more vegan air fryer recipes, definitely click this video right here. But if you want to make my vegan nacho cheese that I mentioned earlier, click this video right here. I'll see you in the next video.